Good. Hello. My name is Jana Jakoubek. I'm the artistic director of Fumetto Festival. As Andy said, quite a big festival in a very, very small city. We say city, Lucerne. My introduction to the festival will be a bit improvised. We can carry on speaking later. I just succeeded to somehow download my presentation 2.5 minutes ago, but I have a little emergency presentation to start with, because not only me but also my friends from Switzerland and Spain have been invited to this to this premiere, which we are very happy about, and they helped me out with a little SOS presentation. So yes, you will see 5 minutes of Miguel Gallardo's drawings about our festival. We will start with the geography of Lucerne, or Fumetto. So Fumetto has started 26 years ago in Switzerland, this German-speaking part of Switzerland. And it started as a very, 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 very tiny event for local comic artists, and nobody then, I guess, knew much about comic in Switzerland. It's not such a big scene. It's growing. It has grown these 25 years, but it is still a little miracle that in a not so comic focused country like Switzerland is, we have been able to maintain or to gather more and more people and fans of alternative comic. So, which leads me to the next, to the next image. Sorry. So, Fumetto is an international festival. We have people of all ages and from all around the world, fortunately. But the most often seen one is the one here, and which is called a comic artist. So during 9 days every year, Lucerne, or no, 3 weeks actually, Lucerne is flooded with all sorts of narrative storytelling, and it happens in all, like the festival happens decentralized in all over the town. We have exhibitions in museums, in art museums, in galleries, but also in off spaces, and we occupy houses and tunnels and all sorts of weird places where these creatures feel the best. And the festival is a non-commercial event, but still we have a little ticket fee, and for the 10 main exhibitions, and we have like 40 venues and 40 to 50 different exhibitions which are free all over town. So we try to reach as many people as possible. Not so often seen is the superhero, but after today's presentations I would be honored to invite or to see around flying like the urban legend or Rashtraman, yes, sorry. But it's like a festival which has always been an alternative one, independent comic storytelling. We are very much on the border of comic, visual arts, performance. We have a lot of animation, and like you can find basically all art forms. And we have this. Yes, we try to treat even comic artists as real people and heroes. They are our heroes. We are totally nerdy about all that has to do with comic. Lucerne has a very good art school too, where comic is being taught. And yeah, so let's go over to... So, yes, many bridges in Lucerne. Very important for the festival. This bridge has been like a starting point or a kickoff for an international perception of the festival. It's called the Kappelbrücke. It has burned down like 25 years ago, which was quite lucky for the festival actually. Here I can say it, we are far away from Switzerland. But the festival has started 1992 with this little comic competition, which has grown very big now, but there's very little. And then 2 years later, the bridge had burned down, which was a disaster. It's a national heritage, and after, I guess, the Eiffel Tower, the most photographed heritage in the world, I guess. And well, yes, the thing was that this little festival with showing drawings and quite unknown artists, they had the chance to expose in the bridge. There are very old medieval, beautiful paintings in this bridge, which had burned down. It was a catastrophe, but because Fumetto could use this space, there was a lot of attention on the festival, and then the festival was able to maintain this, fortunately. This is like the map we see from Lucerne, very small town. We have 10 main exhibitions, as I said, like the red dots with big names and big shows, and then all these yellow ones are satellites, and they happen in bars, in libraries, in stores, whatever stores. We try to be a bit everywhere. So this is a picture of last year's star guests. We did the first retrospective of Julie Doucet, the Canadian artist, very important since the 80s, for mostly for women in comic or women doing comic. So our exhibition, the festival is mostly about exhibitions, and then we have talks and parties and everything that's needed for a festival. But we try to show comic in another way than just showing the pages, the originals on the walls. And the festival is also not about big markets, and we don't invite publishers as most festivals do. Like, they are welcome, but we don't have a lot of selling places. We have one festival center where we have a bookshop, but in general it's really about the art, and we try to also reach people to read more comic or to be aware about indie comic in many different sensual ways, say so. This is another, well, here you see these original pages we normally don't show. We do have them. I do like a lot conceptual comic and like just different ways of working with the material of narration. So we invited a conceptual artist who has nothing to do with normal comic we all know, or he never has been invited to a comic festival. He felt a bit freaky. It was Bertrand Lavier. It's one of the most influential conceptual artists, and he found in a story of Mickey Mouse of the 70s, one story was happening in a museum, and Mickey and Minnie Mouse were just wandering through this institution, and there were like not real fictional artworks drawn in the story, and this conceptual artist, he reproduced all what he found in the story in real life size. So it's just like questioning also the higher art, low art of comic, and bringing this into the museum of modern art again. So it's with this game also. Then last year we also invited a Greek artist, Ilan Manoir, a publisher, comic artist, conceptual artist. He did a work for blind people, for visually disabled people, a comic. He invented a whole new index, and he started to work first with drawing, or yes, he worked with braille, and he changed the drawing into something that's not only we could translate as a symbol we know, but it was accessible for visually impaired people and seeing people from the same starting point. And he had many big plates, and you could really feel your way through. And this is an image from an open studio in a hotel. We are showing or building stages for artists who want to interact with the public, and we try to make possible that the public sees how a comic is done, and also to get in touch with people, with artists. This is the studio of Judith van Istendel. She's a Belgian artist, and she wished to work with a risograph. So we invited every day another artist of the festival to work with her on a whole book, which we could then give away to comic fans, to our fans. And another form, or another, before it was a 5-star hotel. This is an exhibition in a tunnel under the railway tracks of Lucerne, and it's a big exhibition of Joe Sacco. We had 300 originals of his early works before he was working as a journalist, comic journalist. He was he was following music groups. He was selling T-shirts for them to be allowed to follow them, and to do portraits and little reportages of the shows. So this is how we work with. This is Joe from behind. Then another form that comic can take is visible in Caroline Suri's work. She's working with cutouts a lot. She used to work with Dernier Cri, a very well-known, very strong group in Marseille. And then another example is Tom Gold, a British comic artist, quite a ligne claire one with a great British humor. We wanted to, I wanted to work with the Historical Museum of Lucerne for a long time, but it should be a project that really fits into the building, the spaces. And then Tom Gold told me about his project of the history of robots. So he wanted to do an etymology of robots, and we decided to do that in the museum. And we just, he was hiding little bits and pieces of robots, like Stone Age robots, medieval robots, New Age robots, all sorts, in the archive, not in the archive, like in the exhibition of the museum. And people could see both at the same time, the comic work, expanded comic work, and the old exponats. Then another nice venue was our ship, and you will hear maybe about the ship in another talk. We invited Miguel Gallardo, who was drawing this first presentation before, and he spent 2 weeks as a captain portraying his book about his daughter, his autist daughter Maria, and people could be very close to the production of the book, of a comic, and also talk about the topic of autism on the boat. And then the festival grew from a little competition, a tiny one 26 years ago, but now we continue to invite comic artists to send us their comics to a certain topic, and we get around 1,000 artworks, especially developed for this very year or competition. And then the best ones are chosen, or the best ones, the best of a jury, are chosen by an international jury and displayed like this in another exhibition. We see a mural on the wall by a Peruvian comic artist and illustrator Amadeo Gonzalez. The topic then was this year was worlds. What we also had in this exhibition was a part of a great, fantastic project which is called Grassroots Comic. Some of you might know it. It has been developed by Sharat Sharma, who is also here and will talk about his work. So I won't say more about that. That's another show of a young talent. We have, like in these 10 main exhibitions, there's star guests like, I don't know, Julie Doucet or Jacques Tardy, Lorenzo Mattotti, Robert Crumb, Jack Kirby, etc. in the main shows, but on the same level, we always have new talents, and that is an exhibition designed by a Swiss artist called Anda, and it is called Fumetto Schleuder, talent, some concept, and it's always an exhibition and publication together, and we encourage the young artists to think about the relation between the exhibition and the the publication, if it should be documentary or if it should talk about the same thing in different ways, or just these two medias, like a book or publication as the main media of comic, but also the going out into this three-dimensional space, and is important to us to give also comic artists the chance to go out into three-dimensional space. Some of them like it more, some of them less, or feel comfortable. This was an exhibition of a South African artist, Robin Rhodes, who is not doing comic, but he's working in a lot with narration, with street art. He does street art stencils, and he documents the different stages of a narration photographically. So the last part of the work is a photography, but with many elements to it. And so shown with stencils in the museum. Then one of my favorite exhibitions was the retrospective of Tardy, Jacques Tardy, French artist who is mainly known for his works about the First World War. And we used a whole swimming pool and the spaces around the pool, and we broke down walls in the cellars and tried to give a feeling of being in this, I don't know how it's called in English, in the war, where you shoot from. And then of course we have at the festival talks as well, and this, for example, a talk about comic journalism with Guy Delisle, Joe Sacco, Olivier Kugler. We have a market, a small press heaven. This is happening every weekend. We have 2 weekends and the weekend between, and we invite 25 collectives, international and Swiss, half, to sell their self-made press and silk screens and T-shirts. And then we were celebrating the 25th birthday 2 years ago, and we had a publication that was quite a nice project. Publication where we invited artists for contributions. They were quite free in their choice about talking about Fumetto or Lucerne. There was quite a lot of humor, and they should not finish their story, so people could buy the book and then go to every artist, every of these like 30 different artists. They had open studios, as you see here, and they would finish your chapter individually. So at the end, you had 30 different original stories of your favorite artists. Yeah.